if you know me, you know that I insist a lot on anatomy and on watching and seeing anatomy from the different point of view. This is because we live in a tridimensional world. Our body and our heads are tridimensional, and they appear different in the different side and from the different point of view. So we have to watch it and learn how it presents from different angles in order to have a complete outline of the structure of the body, in order to draw it easily and naturally. It's a building process. In the beginning it appears less natural, but as long as you incorporate the anatomical knowledge, then when you've done it, then everything becomes smoother and more easy. Concerning the form of the head seen from the side, there's something very important to notice. Look at that. This is the face. This small spot is the face. Everything else is the head. So we humans have naturally very small faces and very big heads. But in the front view, you see principally the face. When we switch it to the side view, this appears much more evident. And we have to render it. We have to know it in order to not commit errors. And there's another thing to notice. This is kind of flat. We have to know these forms, because these forms, these small forms, are the ones that can give us the way to render the tridimensional shape. And we have to know them well because they are not so evident as in a, for example, in a three-quarter view, or also in a front view, when you can see many different aspects. The side view, the profile view, tends to be a very flat view, and we have to fight against this flatness. Starting to draw the skeleton, the skull seen from the side, he can be inscribed roughly in a square space. The proportion, the height and the weight of the profile of the skull, it's almost a square, but it's very obviously can vary a lot. And then we start just we always start from the general and then we go to the particular. Let's start from okay, this is the proportion, 1/3 and 1/3. Eyebrow, nose, chin. This proportion is one of the most constant in the human head, even if it has some difference. Start with the eyebrow. It goes outside, then we have the head that goes up like this, and we have the skull, the brain box. Let's call it like that. Here we have the nose that goes out. We draw just the bony part, not the one with the cartilage, so it stops here, goes down, and then up. If you see a skull, you will see that there's this little spine here. And then we go down here, let's see here. Let's say that you see slightly on the other side, and then we have the teeth here and the chin. It starts to, you know, I like when with few lines it's understandable what we are drawing. Then we go to the orbital cavity, that they have a kind of peculiar form, seen from the side, like of a pear, the fruit, the pear. Here we go. There's some bony roughness there, and we have this kind of form. It's very it can vary a lot, but let's say we have this kind of peary form. Go a little more, a little down, then we see. Here we go. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Yeah. You see, we've drawn, and an external observer could say, oh, maybe he's drawing a skull. Because when we know anatomy, it's pretty easy to draw the lines. And now here we have, here we go, the cheekbone that fuses with the frontal bone. Here we go, the zygomatic. Here's the frontal. This is a front view, the front side, and this is a lateral side. And then we have this, the zygomatic arch that goes here and attaches to the bone, to the bulky part of the skull. It attaches here. It attaches to the maxilla, and does something like this. Goes here, is inclined. Here is inclined. Then it goes down, and here we go. It forms this elongated part that here attaches to the bones of the side of the skull. And then here, let's do the mandibula. You see, this bone, I seem to be fixated with the zygomatic bone, but it's a really important one because it gives us the form of the cheeks, the actual form of the face. And then here we have the mandibula, another really important form because it varies a lot between men and women, and between even people of the same sex. And here we have this branch, the vertical part that goes like this and goes down, and here is a line here, and here is a void. He has this form, and you see here, we see through the zygomatic, the form will be like this. This is important because in this bone, in this part of the bone, they're attached the fibers of the temporal muscle. Let's make it a little clearer. And here is the articulation in this part. The mandibula articulates here. Then we go here. There's the horizontal part and the maxillary bone. The maxilla goes like this, turns around, is a round bone, and it is visible here through this space. You see, it's not so difficult, but we have to know it. Here we can outline the space of the feet. Here, go like this, and here like this. Yes. if you know the forms, it's pretty easy to draw them. Then here we have, it's not visible, but it's important because in this part attaches the sternocleidomastoid, which is the most important muscle of the neck, and it's very bulky, and you see it protruding in very muscular subject. But it's important because it makes us understand the forms. You know, when you draw, you have to understand what you're drawing. So even something that is not visible on the outside, it is important to understand what's on the outside, has to be known. Now just make it a little prettier. You know, I like to draw pretty skulls. It's kind of, if you see my work, I love drawing skulls. It's kind of, it's just my thing. Here, and then the skull here. It goes like this. Here we go. This is, we here, the bones attach one to the other. Here, in Italian we call them sutura. And here we have the lateral part. This is kind of flat, then it bends, and this is the frontal plane, the front plane. It's pretty easy, but as I was saying before, it's pretty flat, and we have to be very, very careful to catch every opportunity to render some tridimensionality. We got here the zygomatic, this plane. This is all a lateral plane. Here we go. Let's make it a little clearer, a little prettier. Front plane, and the face is this. This is the space occupied by the face. You see the difference? It's a tiny, tiny part of all the head. It's much, much bulkier, much bigger. The other part is much bigger. We tend to see it differently because we concentrate our attention to the face. But you have to draw it correctly. Here we have the eyeballs that protrude outside, a little outside this cavity. Here we have this plane. This bone does like this. It's outside. It protrudes outside. Here we have a part that goes outside, and we have to render it in order to render the tridimensionality of this surface. Here and here. You see? This is the structure. Let me outline it a little more. Okay. Again, if you see, it's not easy. It's not difficult. This is the form that we have to keep very clear in our mind, because this is the reason for all the forms of the face of your subject. Here is the seed of your portrait. Just remember the smallness of the face compared to the rest of the head, this kind of relative flatness of the bulk of the head, and this protruding of the zygomatic bone and of the arch, the lateral part of the orbita that goes outside and give us the possibility to give some tridimensionality. Also remember, this surface tends to be round and goes there. This tends to be a little round and then becomes flat here. We have to feel, you have to feel the planes, to feel the surfaces in order to draw effectively. See you in the next.